Hello, everyone. My name is Bill from cruisehabit.com. We'll give everyone a moment to get settled here, but wanted to talk ship about some cruise news. A pretty big thing, I think, that was announced today. And in general, just catch up with everyone because, I don't get to talk to you guys as often as I'd like, and it's better than packing, which is what I should be doing right now. So we are here live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. So if you want to make sure to catch the next broadcast live, be sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube and you like and follow us all over the interwho. Bruce, welcome, my friend. Thank you for joining. So here's I'll jump right into it as folks file in. The big news today is that the government of the Bahamas, specifically the Bahamian Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert, I don't know, I don't remember if it's Minnis. I think it's pronounced Minnis. Signed like an executive order of sorts, forgot what the name of it is in the Bahamas, saying if a cruise ship wants to come into the Bahamas, then everyone on board over the age of 12 or older, I should say, needs to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Now, that is a very big deal for a couple reasons, especially because there's not an exception that some people might have guessed. That exception that I'm talking about is there's no exception for the private islands. So that means cruise lines going to really popular destinations with guests like Coco Cay, Castaway, Half Moon. There's a new port over at Bimini. In addition to Freeport and Nassau, of course, might need some policy adjustments. There's one cruise line that won't have to adjust their policies, though. But this is going to be of a big impact to a number of sailings, maybe a sailing that you're booked on. It becomes effective on September 3rd, I believe it is. That's information I should know before I start the video. Yes, September 3rd is when it becomes effective, which means, in fact, I have a sailing immediately impacted, our September 5th Odyssey of the Seas cruise. The very first stop is Coco Cay. Now, Royal Caribbean's policy up to this point, or I should say up until a couple of weeks ago, was that they didn't require a vaccine threshold. There's some big advantages to cruising vaccinated on Royal Caribbean, changed test requirements, things like that, but was not an overall requirement. Now they changed that for the Virgin Islands because the Virgin Islands said need to be vaccinated to come here. So they said, cool, on these sailings, you're going to need to be vaccinated. The Bahamas has done the same. So will we see Royal Caribbean, will we see other cruise lines making changes to their policies? The answer is that some have already started. MSC Cruises will actually be cruising MSC Meraviglia starting tomorrow, was the very first cruise line to, and hats off to them for being really agile. I mean, within an hour, 2 hours of this coming out, they had an email out saying, hey, starting September 3rd, then any cruises, any MSC cruise going to the Bahamas, 12 and up needs to be fully vaccinated. Not we're reconsidering itineraries. Now, a lot of cruise lines can reconsider itineraries. Certainly, if you're on a 7-night sailing and you had one stop somewhere in the Bahamas, yeah, they could modify that. But for one, cruise line guests really like these private island calls, so they don't want to cut those out. And two, if you're on a 3 or 4 night cruise out of Florida, the East Coast, the 3 biggest cruise ports, the only ones that are operating right now, where else are you going to go? Not a whole lot of options there. And you cannot cruise to nowhere because of the Passenger Vessel Services Act. Matt, how does today's news affect any dam ships? Dam ships cannot visit the Bahamas, including Half Moon Cay, which is, and I know this is going to pain you to hear, despite my recent first visit to Coco Cay, which I loved, by the way, and I'm very excited that we'll be going back there in just a couple weeks. Half Moon Cay, my favorite beach on any private cruise line destination. So in that way, they will be impacted, sort of. They're not cruising just yet. Holland America is not cruising out of Florida just yet, but they will be. And this order in the Bahamas is effective September 3rd and will last until at least November 1st. Now, they said until November 1st, 2021. What I suspect will happen is that by November 1st, 2021, they'll either decide to extend it or they're going to lower that age requirement. Because if, and I don't know, this is speculation, if they say soon that 6-year-olds and up can get vaccinated, maybe NASA will change that and they'll say, oh, we're extending this or we're changing it now 6 and up. Don't know. Gonna have to there's going to be a lot of things that need to be figured out by cruise lines. Now, Norwegian Cruise Line is not impacted because they are sailing fully vaccinated. That was their plan all along, and that's what they started doing. Their first Florida fully vaccinated sailing left just last week on Norwegian Gem, so no problem for them. Some other cruise lines, Celebrity Cruises, Carnival, they've been selling 95+% vaccinated. So it's not going to be a huge impact, but there are going to be some people that are impacted by that. Oops. Robert Lassoff. Hey there, buddy. Robert, I'll be in Yacht Club this weekend. Excited to try that out. Half Moon K has nice sand. Booked a private Oasis cabana last time I was there. Yeah, I agree. It's soft sand, beautiful colors. The Half Moon shaped beach is just spectacular, especially with the ship there anchored just offshore. Really, really cool. The cabanas are interesting there too because they've got like they're not what Royal Caribbean people think of as cabanas. They're like little mini houses, and some of them, if I recall, even have bathrooms, the larger ones. But very cool. Valerie joining us from Carnival Magic. No issues here. Valerie, thank you very much for taking time out of your cruise to hang out and talk ship with us. Glad to hear everything's going well on Carnival Magic. I'm actually, I'm still trying to get on Mardi Gras, and I'm going to know a little bit more about that in the coming days, about when we might be able to do that. Let's see. Fran, Royal needs to Florida too. We'll see. Depending on what different cruise lines interpret and precedent of the ruling from NCL's injunction that they were granted, maybe they won't feel they'll need to. Maybe they'll say, hey, we're going to keep allowing unvaccinated people, but for at least sailings in the Bahamas, 12 and up need to be vaccinated. We'll see. There's a couple routes you can go, right? You can modify some itineraries. You can change your policies. For those policy changes, how much are you changing them? 12 and up, everybody. How's that going to work out? Brian White, ships have to anchor still. Oh, over at Half Moon? Yes, Half Moon does not have a dock. They have a harbor, sort of like Great Stirrup does, and like Coco used to, where the tenders go in to the little protected harbor. I personally like it that way. I get why people want to anchor. 100% I get why people want to anchor in those destinations. But I just feel like it feels more remote. Maybe it's silly. And I like being able to look out and see the ship offshore. I have a great picture of that from Half Moon. That's my preference. But I understand why some want to dock. Excuse me. Diane, does fully vaccinated mean no children under 12? So if you're referring to Norwegian Cruise Lines and their restrictions, that's correct. Norwegian Cruise Lines is making 0 exceptions. If you are not fully vaccinated, if you cannot prove that you are fully vaccinated, you cannot sail on Norwegian Cruise Lines right now. They just extended that to the end of the year. We'll see what happens after that. Now, the restriction for the Bahamas, no, the Bahamas is saying everyone who is 12 years old or older needs to be fully vaccinated. So that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to see that among other cruise lines. I don't think all cruise lines will go to the NCL model. Maybe some more will. Time will tell, especially I think it'll be interesting when Holland America and Princess start sailing out of Florida, what they end up doing. Robert, easier to modify Western itineraries. Yeah, easier to modify long itineraries. Easy to, it's there are the difficult part here is that the itineraries that are most impacted are the ones that are most common right now, or maybe it's just because there aren't the variety of itineraries, right? And that's short sailings out of East Coast Florida ports. If we had a bunch of ships sailing out of Tampa, if we had more 7-nighters going, not as many sailings would be as impacted. There'd be other options there. Valerie, sailing Mardi Gras for Christmas. Saw her in port yesterday in Amber Coast. She's a beauty. Yes. Valerie, and anyone else who hasn't seen already, please check out our pictures from Mardi Gras. We were on board for the day. Was it end of? Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. What is time anymore? Like 2 weeks ago? We'll go with that. About 2 weeks ago, you can, oops, that was the wrong button I just clicked. You can check that out over at cruisehabit.com. We've got a bunch of pictures of the ship as well as our thoughts. Really spectacular looking ship, honestly. And we're hoping to get on board very soon. But our next cruise, MSC Meraviglia in the Yacht Club, tomorrow, that's right, tomorrow is the next one up. And then we've got Odyssey of the Sea, September 5th. Robert, no kids on NCL, hopefully gets extended through next summer. You know, one very real possibility, kind of like with the Bahamas thing, is that you see the, you know, as younger people can get vaccinated, that change will apply to them, right? So NCL just said, hey, you have to be fully vaccinated. They didn't say no kids. So it would seem likely that you'll start to see kids on NCL. And that's NCLH's policy overall, by the way. So that means it also affects Oceania and Regent. Granted, you can count the number of kids that those lines have each year on your hands. So, Shalon, hey Shalon, just noticed Junior cruising Disney on September 3rd. I guess you'll have all sea days. Yeah, I wrote in the article actually that Disney is probably the one with the biggest challenge. They're only sailing ships to the Bahamas right now. I don't know what they're going to do. Let me rephrase that. I know what they're going to do in the short term, because they really only have one option, because you can't cruise to nowhere because of the Passenger Vessel Services Act. And you can read all about the very exciting PVSA cabotage law over at cruisehabit.com. We actually linked it in the Bahamas article today. Alan James, hey everybody, you're wondering when foreign ports would put the hammer down. Whatever needs to be done to keep cruising going. And East Coast love to sail from Cape Liberty and Baltimore. Yeah, I'm surprised more destinations haven't made this rule. And I think maybe the only reason that more destinations haven't is because there are still plenty of cruise destinations, popular cruise destinations, that aren't allowing ships at all yet. Maybe when some of them start to open up, that will be part of the deal. I don't know. Scrolling, don't want to miss stuff here. Sorry. Do I know the current? So Diane's asking, do I know the current restrictions, vaccination rules for Royal Caribbean and guests and for employees? So I don't know about shoreside employees, what they're doing. I know that on board, crew, staff, and officers on board Royal Caribbean, all Royal Caribbean groups, so that's Silver Sea, Celebrity, and Royal Caribbean, must be fully vaccinated. As far as guests, as of the last time I looked at my email inbox right before starting this video, all guests cruising Alaska, might be all guests 12 and up cruising Alaska, and all guests on Caribbean sailings that visit the U.S. Virgin Islands must be fully vaccinated, 12 and up. Other royal sailings in the United States, as of right now, guests are not required to be fully vaccinated, though unvaccinated guests need to undergo additional testing, and some of that testing will come at the cost of the guests. And there are a lot of venues. I was just on Mariner of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's Mariner of the Seas, a couple days ago. A lot of the venues are only for vaccinated people. So I don't want to say there's not a lot you can do if you're not vaccinated, but it's definitely somewhat limiting there. Now, all those things have come together to make it so that Michael Bailey, CEO of Royal Caribbean International, just said the other day that all of their sailings have had at least 90% of people fully vaccinated, many of them 95%. Annette, I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but I need to always be on a cruise, and you can help me with that. You know I have more lined up, right? This is the comment of the broadcast. NCL would be the perfect cruise line for bar mitzvah age children. That's so. We actually, and Matt, you were there. In fact, you met him as well. We met a gentleman who when we're at Coco K, in fact, who's a travel agent, and he said that he's been doing a lot of groups for quinceañeras. I thought, oh, that's a pretty smart thing to do in South Florida. So Matt, that's what you do, buddy. Set up bar and bat mitzvah cruises, and they can sail NCL, and should work out perfectly, unless they have friends that are a little younger. Robert, just booked Regent for Tahiti 2024. I am very jealous of you for so many reasons. So many reasons. I was looking at Regent and Oceania sailings actually the other day, planning for next year, because I desperately need to do another Oceania sailing. And then I was like, well, I mean, I could do Regent. Haven't tried Regent yet. If I like Oceania, how would I not like Regent? Really excited about some of their newer ships, though. So that's what's going on. We were all over the place there, but some great questions. Keep those questions coming. I wanted to tell you guys about this this new order, technically, rather than a law, but same thing, in the Bahamas. I should mention there are a couple exceptions, and I mention these exceptions not because they're going to matter to guests, for the most part, but because you're going to hear about exceptions. People are going to ask about exceptions. So let's talk about those three basic exceptions. One, if a cruise line already has an arrangement with the Bahamas for acceptance criteria for non-revenue passengers, so contractors, crew, things like that, if they already had an agreement saying, hey, these people don't need to be vaccinated because they're just coming on to do some work this day, it doesn't void that. My guess is that was something they put in there just to cover themselves because of some specific agreement. It's not really going to impact very much at all. Obviously, exception in an emergency, cruise ships can still dock if they need to medevac somebody, things happen. And finally, any unvaccinated passengers ineligible for COVID-19 vaccination due to a medical contraindication. I don't think you're going to see that as very common, though, because one, cruise lines aren't making a ton of I don't see cruise lines making a ton of exceptions because they would be worried that the Bahamas wouldn't agree with the exception necessarily. So I don't think cruise lines are even going to want to get into that game. I don't see that happening, but we'll see. Richie, let's talk about this actually for a second. How about Carnival ripoff? Holding money for 2 years interest-free, then offer sale. Only problems the price of the cruise went up $340 per person. I feel your pain, sincerely. So Rich is saying, hey, he gave them money. Cruises were pushed back. Future cruise credits issued, but now cruising's more expensive. I do wonder how much of the future cruise credit bonuses, the 125%, 150%, as the case may be, when cruise lines did that, how much of that did they think we may need to recoup some losses in the future? I think it's going to depend on cruise by cruise. I will tell you, I'm not doubting your circumstance. I know that has absolutely happened to some people. So far, in my experience, for the cruises that I have booked, and maybe I'm just looking for cruises that happen to be cheaper sometimes, don't know. I've made out like a bandit with future cruise credit. I have some cruise lines that I was booked on one. Now I got 2 cruises booked and I'm not paying anything and have a nicer cabin on one of them. It just depends. But I realize that can be depending on when you're sailing, what you're looking at, what you originally paid. If you got a really great deal the first time and now you can go when cruising's a little more expensive, that's a problem. I get that. Robert, they had you at I can't speak all of a sudden. Wagyu burgers and lobster sandwich at the Pool Grill. I guess you're talking about Regent. I think it's called Waves. I think the Pool Grill on Oceania. It is usually burgers and fries, whatever. These are some of the best freaking sandwiches I've ever had, man, on Oceania at Waves. So I would imagine Regent does it up just as well, if not better. CP, what type of spots on your recent cruise were vaccinated versus not vaccinated? Great question. So vaccinated only, casino, pub, solarium, bamboo room, which is another bar. I know I'm forgetting a bunch. I think the theater, maybe with certain shows. Matt may be able to help me out if he's still in here. I'm not sure. I have some examples listed in some articles, but I will tell you, it's a long list. It's not that you couldn't get a drink or that you couldn't see a show, but there were definitely, like the gym, for example, certain times where you weren't able to go in if you weren't vaccinated. I believe the spa is vaccinated only. I believe. Again, theater, certain times, certain sections. A lot of the lounges, though. Schooner was vaccinated only. That's another one I saw. I did some work from Schooner. Richie, no vaccine, no cruise. Let's try and play it as safe as we can. Listen, I try and, very candidly, I try and stay non-controversial. I don't disagree. You know, I get it for kids. I get that. In fact, cruise lines, I understand any decision a cruise line makes around that, because they're businesses and they need to stay in business. They want to play it safe too, to the extent they don't want any outbreaks or issues. But everything is a spectrum, right? So I don't fault any cruise line for those type of decisions, one way or the other. But I tend to, I'm inclined just to say, yeah, man, let's keep things as, not only as safe as we can, but the best PR situation that we can. Very honestly, easy. Also easy for me to say because I don't have kids. I have no problem being vaccinated. But all of that said, I've now spent, let's see, so far this year, I've had 23 days at sea, and I'm looking to hit around 50 days this year in total. And so far on all the sailings, I've felt very safe. Now you can say, well, feeling is different than reality. Celebrity has done a great job so far. They've been very transparent with numbers, as is all of Royal Caribbean Group. I would kind of like to see Carnival be a little more transparent with their numbers, to be honest with you. But celebrities had great numbers in terms of little to no community spread. If we wanted to see even fewer breakthrough cases, even fewer cases on ships, the way to do that is testing at the port rather than show up with a test. You have a smaller incubation period to account for. But I understand cruise lines' reluctance to do that because it's expensive for them and it delays the embarkation process. They might have to start because it's awfully hard to get a test for some people right now. I had a lot of trouble getting a test for my Mariner cruise. In South Florida, if you want a test, you better schedule that 2 weeks out or start making a lot of phone calls to find some place that can get you a test quick. We'll see. MSC just announced that you're going to, starting on the 27th, need to bring test results. They were testing at the port. I'm still not clear if they're going to be doing both now. And if they're going to be doing both for everyone or only unvaccinated. Though actually MSC is not really going to be doing any unvaccinated cruises anymore, because starting on the 3rd, any cruise that goes to the Bahamas, MSC already said, got to be vaccinated unless you're under 12. Joanne, RCL for non-vaccinated, no refund if you test positive before the cruise. Very risky. Yeah, that's a good point. Cruise lines are being really great to vaccinated people if there's a breakthrough infection or if something like that happens. They're being really great to them. Not as much flexibility if you're not vaccinated. They say you need to carry an insurance policy that has specific COVID coverages. You're going to have to follow up with that insurance policy if something happens, if you need to be medevaced, if you just can't board, which, by the way, it's another reason I say, even if the cruise line is testing at the terminal, and even if your cruise line is doing that and not requiring that you bring a test result, get tested before your cruise. Practice what I preach. Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I went and got a COVID test. I don't have to take that result for my MSC cruise because before the 27th, I'll be tested at the terminal along with everyone else. I did it because I'd really hate to show up to the terminal and get turned away there. And that's just for my 30 or 50-minute drive. Imagine if I was flying somewhere. So definitely, all the more reason to do extra testing. As a Florida resident, I agree. Just getting out of Florida should make me feel safer. Yeah. Definitely feel a lot safer on a ship than I do in crowded places in Florida. No question. Richie, your wife and you got the vaccine. Kids are 15, 12. They have it also. Your 4-year-old's waiting to get it. You had COVID. That I'm sorry to hear that. You were very. I'm glad you're better now. Miss cruising like crazy, waiting to 2022 to sail. Want to go have fun and be safe, be smart. Listen, I 100, and it says just his opinion. It got cut off because it's long. I 100% agree. Understand, I should say, with people that even if they're fully vaccinated, fine with everything, that say, I want to wait a little while to go on a cruise. I want to, even if you just want things to be a little more predictable, because right now it's unpredictable. You don't know when a policy could change. Last minute scramble. I had one for our Millennium sailing, the last minute scramble. You know, some people now have, they got about 9 days notice for test results for MSC. All these different policies are changing. Happened to Royal Caribbean Carnival a couple weeks ago, last minute change, like overnight. Hey, need to bring a test result. So you need to be flexible. Hopefully, going into 2022, you'll need to be less flexible. Now, if you're saying 2022, I'm feeling good about 2022, early 2022, I want to be on a cruise early 2022. Have I got good news for you? There is still space available on our very first group cruise. So check out apexgroupcruise.com. We've got some fantastic rates, better rates than you can get just off the rack. We're going to have some fantastic events. We'll all be able to hang out and talk ship on Apex, which, you know, my favorite ship at this point is Celebrity Edge. I can't wait to sell Apex, sister ship to that, like Edge, but with more shade and a bigger menu in Raw and 5 and a bigger new menu at Eden, new entertainment at Eden. So many things. I'm really excited. So please join us. January 8th, 2022, apexgroupcruise.com. Would love to have you. Robert, Meeker covers COVID. Is Meeker a carrier, insurance carrier? Am I missing something? Is there a typo? Maybe I'm just not being very smart right now. Rich Hausman, totally agree. Test at the port of embarkation and at each port of call, and not playing games. Yeah, it's, you know, especially because most times, more often than not, you don't have to pay for the test. Some places are, you know, are getting reimbursed by the government for testing or have free testing because they're run by the government. If you have private healthcare, these tests are generally being paid for. All of mine have been paid for. And even if not, some of the places you can get a rapid test for $30. To me, if I'm going on a cruise where they're going to test me at the port and I'm flying there, I don't care if they charge me $200 for the test. Before I get on that plane, I don't want to waste my time and all that airfare. Because imagine this. Imagine you get on the plane, you fly there, you turn away. Not only are you disappointed, you just wasted time. You can't get that airfare back now. In fact, you got to fly back on a flight that you don't have booked. But if you have that negative test before, the airline's going to work with you in most cases. Reggie, thank you. Take care. MedJet. So yeah, MedJet. I forgot about MedJet. MedJet is, and I'm going off memory, so correct me if I'm wrong. You can pay for a medical evac service, like it's a company that runs a network, I think, of medevac companies that do medevacs. Right? Is that what I'm thinking of? Jill, have not seen Jill forever. You like my thinking on this? I don't know which specific issue you're talking about. I'm going to assume all of them because I think you're a very level-headed and wonderful person. That doesn't mean that people that disagree with me on some point are not level-headed and wonderful. Maybe. No. Thank you, Jill. Hope I get to cruise with you soon. Sheila, think you just got a quick test before going, whether required or not. It should save time and money. Absolutely. You could literally save thousands of dollars by getting a test, even if you have to pay it beforehand, because if you come up positive, now you can reschedule that air and things that would be too little too late if you showed up to the cruise terminal. Okay. Yeah. Annual insurance for medical evac. Yeah. I should quote them out. I mean, I have a bunch of different policies. I don't know. I was raised up to worry a lot. So I have a lot of insurance for a lot of things. Let's see. Let me go over. I'm actually going to bring up the article right now for that I was looking at before for this Bahamas thing. Make sure there was nothing else that I wanted to mention to you guys. Got all the info. The basic requirements, by the way. Captain has to send to dock in the Bahamas. Captain has to send the manifest over showing who's vaxxed, who's not. Everyone 12 and older has to be vaxxed. And all the protocols previously submitted have to be abided by. In other words, they're also putting it in there saying like, hey, you can't tell us, cruise line X, that everyone's wearing masks and then show up and be like, oh no, we changed that yesterday. You have to let the Bahamas know of any changes. That's what that's telling cruise lines. It's the biggest impact to this might be because of the private islands, because special and shorter cruises, those have become so very popular. I won't be surprised at all if we see in the next maybe a couple of hours by tomorrow, cruise lines putting out statements. MSC beat everyone to the punch on that. But it's just a matter of time, and we'll see what the exact plan is. Maybe we'll see some itinerary changes, like on 7-night sailings. I could see a 7-night sailing, especially a Western 7-night sailing, a cruise line saying, well, we're just going to pull the Bahamas for now, rather than have to call people and say, sorry, you can't cruise. But I think those are going to be the exceptions and not the rule. So I think that's going to do it for today. Happy to answer any last-minute questions as they come in. Tomorrow, I'll be boarding MSC Meraviglia. First time on Meraviglia, second time on MSC, and we're going to be in the Yacht Club. Looking forward to that. That's their ship in a ship suite situation. I know Robert has been telling me forever, Billy, you need to do Yacht Club. You need to do Yacht Club. Going to do Yacht Club. I wish it was on a longer cruise. Doing a lot of cruising right now. I just don't have the time. But I'm very, very excited to see that. And then September 5th, we've got Odyssey of the Seas. Going to bring that to you guys. Brand new ship from Royal Caribbean. Followed by Virgin Voyages, October 5th or 6th, whatever day that is. But we have a preview on Virgin ahead of that. So we'll be sharing some Virgin stuff later in September, in fact. And we got stuff every month through January at least, which just means I got to book cruises for February now. Seaside... oh, sorry. I thought Robert Lassoff was giving me a tongue twister for a moment. Seaside, better, you'll be on Seashore in February. You mean Yacht Club is better on Seaside? I don't know, because I did tour Yacht Club Seaside, and it was really nice. And I looked at the pictures on Meraviglia. It looks lovely, but it looks different too. So I'm not sure. Jay, I'll happily answer this one as one of the last questions for today's video. What makes Apex my favorite ship? So Edge, I would say, is generally my favorite ship. I always put some sort of caveat because it depends, right? Depends on where I'm going, what I'm doing, who I'm going with. Also, my favorite ship's usually the one that I'm on. But I really, really love Edge. Been on her 5-6 times now. And Apex is very similar to Edge, but has some things that are plus. So I haven't sailed Apex yet. Looking forward to that on the January 8th group cruise, apexgroupcruise.com. Please check that out, or just search for it over on Cruise Habit. If you say, Billy, you love Edge already, we added some shade in 2 of your favorite spots on deck on Edge, including the rooftop garden. And we expanded the menus in a couple of the restaurants, and we added some new entertainment. How do I not? I mean, that's absolutely going to be wonderful. I'm so excited. Don't even have words. I'm so excited for it. Also excited for Celebrity Beyond, which is going to be the 3rd. She's not out yet. She's going to be the 3rd Edge class ship, and Celebrity Beyond has some major changes. I'm kind of surprised they didn't call it like Edge Plus or Edge Ultra like cruise lines are doing now with classes. We've got over on our YouTube channel a video all about the differences between Edge and Beyond, so you can check that out. Make sure you're subscribed to the Cruise Habit YouTube channel. Robert had 3 Apex cruises canceled because of COVID. I'm sorry, buddy. Stinks. I just try and remember that those of us that have had, in some cases, dozens of cruises canceled because of COVID, that we are fortunate to have even had the opportunity to book that many to begin with. And you have 2 Beyond cruises booked. Oh, you're going to be on... Did you tell me you're doing Beyond over New Year's next year? Or am I out of my mind? Because I still got to book some Beyond stuff. I did book Prima for next year. I booked one of her first sailings in the U.S., if not her first sailing in the U.S. Norwegian Prima looks amazing. So excited to see the first NCL ship that Frank Del Rio kind of had his hands in from the start. Going to be cool. Okay, so you are doing New Year's on Beyond. I will check that out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Please make sure you subscribe to the Cruise Habit YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. Also, make sure those alerts are on for live for both Facebook and YouTube. The little bell guy, which I should have a graphic up, but I don't have it right now. Maybe next time. Maybe I'll add it in post. Follow us on YouTube and, of course, on Instagram. If you have something that you want to see on MSC Memorabilia, please reach out. Be happy to try as best we can to capture that. Yeah, I'll be doing live videos from Memorabilia, so probably by this time tomorrow we'll have talked ship live from a place with, for me, a much better setting and a bartender, which is always helpful. So thank you all. It was a pleasure talking ship with each and every one of you, and I look forward to talking again real soon.